Happy Friday. It's Friday, December 15th, and the last IT hour of the year. Can you believe it? It's that time. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We are very excited to have our CEO, Raj, back with us again. Always excited to have you here. Welcome, everyone. If you're new and haven't been here before, we're glad to have you. People are trickling in right now, so we'll give them some time. As usual, hi, everyone. I'm Becky Scott, head of community and host of the IT Hour, and Urvashi is my co host. She's our technical champion. And I think most of you know Raj, but if you don't, Raj is our CEO and he is joining us today. And we've got lots of great things to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about what has been happening in 2023 and a little bit about 2024, maybe. We're going to wait and see if Raj has anything to share there. But anyway, hello, everyone. We've got lots of people active. I see Ricky has joined us, Rob and Jeff, and Dean and Alan. I saw him drop in. And Leo, I see you're in here. So thanks for joining us. And Stuart and Jake. So thanks, everyone, for hopping in. We are glad to have all of you. And we've been having an active chat today, mostly about coffee and pets. So the usual hijinks. But we're going to get started here. Raj, thank you for joining us. We know you've been busy as
Thanks
of
for
late.
having me. Yes. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Good to be back
Yeah.
with everybody.
Yeah. End of year stuff keeping you busy.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And actually planning for next year, right? So that's keeping all
Absolutely.
of us busy, right? Making sure that we are on top of the game for next year as well.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to talk a little bit about, another year on the books. We had you on right at the beginning of the year, kind of talking about 2022 and then looking ahead to 2023. So, how are you feeling looking back on 2023 right now?
Well, I don't know. I kind of think 2023 has been kind of a crazy year. So a lot of ups, a lot of downs. You know, I kind of take stock of, maybe macro and, start big picture. And, unfortunately, we've got, I'll start with the stuff that's tough, right? We've got two wars now going on in the world, which, definitely sucks a lot. So that's not great. That's hard for everybody. We've got I think across the board, politically divisive environment, right? So that's been challenging kind of everywhere, right? You kind of see it, not just frankly in the U.S. I've been traveling around the world. I traveled quite a bit this year around the world, and unfortunately, it's divisive everywhere, which is really too bad. You've got a macroeconomic environment that is still really challenging for a lot of people. So that's been difficult, and I think closer to home, maybe security issues just continue to be a thing for IT organizations everywhere. So I think that those are all some of the things that I would say have been challenging. Right on the flip side, I think there's been kind of a lot of great stuff too. You look at the amount of innovation coming on from around the globe, around the world, everywhere. I've been in tons of countries this year, and it is amazing, amazing, amazing to see so much innovation going on, so many cool products, companies, innovative people, wonderful people to go meet all across the world. I do think that's another thing that feels like is happening, is that we are moving to a much more global economy, and I would say people are sort of connecting with a lot of folks all around the globe. But I think the world's shrinking, and I think that's a really wonderful thing too. So I think that's not something that was happening 10 years ago, and we just continue to shrink the world. And we work with, even at JumpCloud, we work with a lot of people in a lot of different countries. Not only as customers, we have customers in 160 countries, which is mind-boggling to me. But we also have people, are Jump Cloudians in about 15, 20 countries around the globe. So that's really neat. I love seeing that. I love meeting with lots of different people, and I think that's been a huge thing this past year, and and I think AI is probably sort of the topic of the year, which has been hugely interesting, right? I think pros and cons from a lot of different perspectives and vantage points, but I think hopefully, we're going to be able to have AI really help us do what we are great at as humans, right? And it's going to give us leverage and let us focus on things that are far more interesting and far more challenging, and kind of far more fun, hopefully. So I think that's exciting. I would say, IT in general becomes more and more of a foundation. I think technology is more of a foundation in organizations today. I love that. I love that what we all do for a living is becoming more and more important, more central to how organizations operate, how business and commerce is done. So I don't know, like it's been a really interesting year, and in a lot of ways, a lot of learning, a lot of good stuff, a lot of challenging stuff, around the world. But I think you have to say it was a very, very interesting year for sure.
Yeah. But that's one of the old curses, right? May you live in interesting times.
Yes,
So
yeah, and
watch
we
out for
do,
that.
and we do,
Yeah,
yeah.
we do.
No, I want to live in simple times. Simple
I
times, please.
think those have passed, right? Like I think that's
Yeah.
one of the things for that we really need to pay attention to. Speed of business, right? I was going to talk a little bit about that a little later, but
Mhm.
speed of business, complexity of business, right? Complexity of everything is going up, right? So, yeah, not easy, but definitely interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So, now that we've kind of looked a little bit back at 2023, what lessons are you taking from that into 2024?
Well, I think globally, I would say adaptability and resilience are two things that really come to mind for me. I'd say security is probably another one, and I think security in a lot of ways, right? Not just physical security, but of course the security that we all work on, which is much more IT related security. But I think we have to be much more adaptable. I think we have to be much more resilient. I think the world is very, very unpredictable now, becoming more and more so. And I think sort of ironically, the thing that we should predict is the unpredictability, and we need to be really sort of prepared for things that can go awry, can change on us, and I think just having the mental fortitude on that, and just the being resilient, being adaptable, making sure that you're able to withstand kind of all of those different changes and adjustments and challenges all around the world. I mean, it's not easy, right? And it's not easy for the people, the community that we're a part of, right? I mean, you've got security issues, you've got lots of change, you got lots of economic change. So how do you prepare? How do you deal with that? How do you adapt to that? I To me, that's one of the biggest lessons coming out of this past year, is that we really do need to be thinking about those things, and it's not easy, right? I think the mental toll it can take is huge, but I think if you can get yourself into the right headspace to be able to adapt and be resilient, then I think you're going to really succeed.
Yeah, I know we've had some webinars on taking care of yourself and taking time, but we've also had, IT hour topics around like how to have a business continuity plan and how to prepare your business for things that happen, and being more prepared will just take away some of that stress. It doesn't take away all of it, but there are things you can do to kind of help mitigate some of those things. And that kind of leads into security because we've had lots of talks about that. It's been big in the news. There's been a lot of high profile breaches. It can be a really complicated and challenging issue. So, I know you have a lot of thoughts on that. We've talked a lot within the company about security because we deal with people's really sensitive info. So let's talk a little bit about security and some of our lessons learned and where we're headed. in that realm.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously, transparently, we had our own security incident earlier this year, which impacted, a very small number of customers, less than 5 customers, less than 10 devices. So, I think, we learned a lot from that. I would say it really matters the ethos of the company, and, we have an ethos that's very communicative, transparent, open, fast, and I think we really, sort of put those things into action, and we were moving incredibly fast. We were dealing with the issue very, very quickly, but we were also very open. As soon as we thought we could reasonably communicate it to customers, we did, and I would say that was like hours, and we were open and transparent, and then we went through a full analysis of it, which was really important. But I would say it goes back to ethos, right? If you have an ethos which is built on transparency, openness, speed, those are things that are really, really important. And I, unfortunately, I think when you look around the world today, these high profile breaches, that's not what we're seeing, right? And it's really, really disappointing. I mean, these are very, very big organizations that, aren't being open, that aren't being transparent, that aren't doing it very quickly. And I think that's bad for all of us, right? I mean, it's bad for their customers, it's bad for the community, and, ultimately, I think there's going to be a change. I mean, now the SEC is mandating disclosure of issues, security issues, and breaches, and things like that. So, I think if we as a community don't behave properly, the regulators and the government folks will help mandate that, and so that'll correct some of the problem. But I think that's been a big lesson for us this past year, and I would say I'm really, really proud of the culture that we built, and the ethos that we have inside of our company. And I think they were put to the test earlier this year, and I feel really good about how our team responded, and how they handled themselves. And it was not an easy time, not an easy situation, but I would put our team up against kind of anything else that's going on out there today. And I think we've behaved in a completely different way that I feel really great about.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I think what all we can do is just try to be as prepared as we can, and we talked a little bit in our prep session about the attack vector being identities. So that's a really important piece of what we're doing with JumpCloud Go and everything. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
And I should have sort of mentioned that, and maybe the way to think about this is, you know, first thing is preparation, right? And we've talked about a lot of the challenges. I think preparation solves a lot of challenges up front, and it takes time. It's not easy. It's the stuff that we all like to skip over because we get to the we like to get to the fun stuff, which is, whatever, just doing stuff. But at the end of the day, preparation really matters, and that's taking stock of where you are at from a security perspective, what you think the issues are, how you're going to level that up and make a difference. So, that sort of thing one is preparation. Thing two is the action, making sure that you've got systems in place. And you're right. I think identity is one of the most important attack vectors, if not the most important attack vector these days. If you compromise somebody's identity, the right identity, you're basically through all of the issues. You can get around all the security tools, and unfortunately, that's what's happening. And seeing that happen, countless times. And this is where we've really innovated quite a bit. Now, first of all, we're trying to make sure that everybody's tenants are highly secure. So you've seen changes even recently where we are making sure that the admin accounts are backed by MFA. They're being mandated, long, strong passwords. We're continuing to make all kinds of innovations on ensuring that things that need to be set up aren't set up until they need to be when somebody uses them. So there aren't remnants of things laying around that somebody could use as an attack vector. So, we're getting far more sophisticated on how to make sure that we're protecting everybody's tenant. But I would say one of the most important things that innovations that we came out with this past year is JumpCloud Go. And everybody should think of it as, a very, very highly secure, basically three-factor type solution that's passwordless. So, at the end of the day, I think it's easier for end users to use, and I think it's much more secure. So that to us is one of the foundations or the cornerstones of what we're going to do moving forward, because ultimately we believe JumpCloud Go hopefully can be one of the most effective, easiest to use, and safest identities that people can rely on. So that is our vision with that, and we're gonna double down, triple down on that to make sure that all these problems like session hijacking and the customer support, emails getting compromised or accounts getting compromised and certificates being stolen, things like that. Those are all things that we can ultimately prevent. If something like that happens, we can still make sure that an identity isn't compromised. So there's a tremendous amount of work going on in that, but I would say that is to us, one of the most important things. And I'd say every JumpCloud organization should turn on JumpCloud Go and make sure they start using it because it's super powerful.
Yeah, we have a lot of discussions here and in the Slack lounge about MFA fatigue too, and really your end users are the first line of attack a lot, and they're usually your hardest to um not necessarily control, but control for, because they are the ones that just uh can easily click on something and not pay close attention. Yeah, Dean is saying this in the chat.
Yep.
Humans are the weakest link in any security system. And we do mention that quite frequently. It's like they're the ones that you have to train a lot more and control for, because they just,
And this is where I get excited about JumpCloud Go, right? I mean, yes, we are the weakest link, but if we can, wrap an easier to use identity that's safer, more secure, because it's sort of got three factors embedded into it, then I think, hopefully we can get to that point where, we're reducing ourselves as the weakest link, or
Mhm.
maybe we still will be, but the chances that it makes a negative impact go down. So that's to us, it's been a huge challenge. I firmly believe building the safest, easiest to use identity is a highly valuable proposition. It's something that would make a big difference for a lot of folks out there, and to the extent that we can do that in a way that is really super easy for people to use, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, speaking of security, let's talk a little bit about the competitive landscape, because we talked about there being a lot of high profile breaches, but from our perspective, let's talk a little bit about the competitive landscape and what the outlook is there.
Yeah, I think, look, I think the competitive landscape right now is super interesting. It's I think it's never been as active as I've seen um, in the history of JumpCloud. So, we've got organizations that are really struggling, that competitively struggling because they have made mistakes around security. I think we're seeing some companies that have decided that they would like to sell themselves. And so they're sort of saying, hey, we need to be, paired up with somebody else to work better. We've seen a company recently, a very big company, that's going to divest itself from its parent. That's going to create tons of change for thousands and thousands of customers. So, you've got a really interesting landscape. And I would say there's sort of two centers for us at JumpCloud of basically the competitive landscape. One is basically on the identity side, and the other is on the device side. And we generally see those as separate competitive vectors, if you will. But the interesting part about what we've built at JumpCloud is that we've tried to bring both device and identity together. And ultimately, we believe that's the future. And I think it's sort of playing out that that is going to be the future. Having that sort of third factor of the device and securing that device, and the device is sort of the gateway to accessing everything, if you can make that sort of frictionless, easy to use for end users, and you've made it much more secure, I think it's just, that is the sort of winner in the market. So I feel really good where we're sitting competitively, and I think the market is super fascinating and interesting. And I would encourage every organization, whatever tools they're using, to make sure that they're really understanding where people are headed, um, what their organization's structure is, whether they're looking to sell themselves, whether they're being divested, whether they've got security issues or whatever's going on. I think it's important to really understand that and have those conversations. And look, I think the good part is IT organizations and MSPs and partners, they're becoming more discerning every single day, right? They're learning, how do I make sure I make the right choices for my internal organization or my customers? And I think that's great. That's good for the market. It's good for everybody that people are being incredibly discerning about who they partner with, who they work with.
Yeah, absolutely. When we had you on earlier this year, we talked a lot about identity transformation, and we've kind of sprinkled it a little bit here and there. But has anything changed since January in identity transformation? And maybe you could talk, kind of update us on that.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I see it accelerating actually. So I have talked to more and more customers that are on legacy Active Directory, and they realize, like, we've got to figure out how do we get off, how do we move to the cloud, how do we shift, how do we sort of modernize AD, if you will. And for some people that may mean keeping AD but wrapping it around with JumpCloud or something else that helps them get to the cloud. For other people, it's going to be just replacing Active Directory. I mean, we're now replacing Active Directory at pretty sizable organizations on a regular basis, and that is a transformation. It is something that people have had in place for a long time. So the opportunity to change it, or the challenges of changing it, aren't easy, but I think most people realize that the future is not with on-prem identity, and the real challenge is, how can they go from where they're at to where they know they need to go, and that's what we're trying to help a tremendous amount. But I would say biggest changes, I see it accelerating. Almost every conversation now where AD exists, we're having a conversation about how do you modernize it, and that is a standard conversation now. Whereas a few years ago, I would say that was not a standard conversation. It was only the really forward-thinking organizations were really sort of down that path. But today, I think almost every organization realizes that the inevitable is coming. We're going to be moving to the cloud. We've got to figure out how do we shift out, from this on-prem solution into something that's much more modern, and hopefully far easier to use and far more secure.
That's great. I see Ricky saying in the chat, loving the favorites rollout. So looks like he's excited.
Yeah, I think he must have been referring to the UI enhancements that Jake was talking about earlier. Is that right?
Let's see. We'll watch for his response in the chat there.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's what he was talking about.
Yeah. So what opportunities do you see as we head into 2024?
I mean, look, I think the opportunities, I'll take it from two different directions, right? One is the opportunity for all of us as a community. And I think the opportunity absolutely is to drive more innovation into our organization. So technology is becoming more and more important, and, providing access safely, securely to that technology is becoming far, far more critical. And so if you can do that, and you can do that really well for your organization, the chances are that your organization is going to succeed. It's going to be able to take advantage of the best technology out there. And hopefully that's going to translate into a better performing organization. So to me, that opportunity is bigger, more impactful than ever. Obviously people are going to want to take advantage of AI. They're going to want to take advantage of all these amazing solutions that are coming out, and innovations that are coming out. And so if you can do that safely, securely, easily, that's that's going to be pretty important. So I'd say that's sort of the macro level or this community level opportunity that I see. And I think from a jump cloud perspective, I think we can really help, right? This is an important thing. We believe that our Open Directory platform should be the foundational platform for organizations. It should be the platform that ultimately securely and frictionlessly connects people to whatever they need. And ultimately, if we're able to do that, people can be productive with technology. They can get more work done. They can do it easier, safer, and help their organization succeed. So I feel like the opportunity for us is sort of you know as best as we can see. It's we're trying to solve a very core foundational problem in this sort of space, and that's all I think you can ask for.
That's great. So, with that, seeing those opportunities, what are your priorities headed into the new year right now?
Yeah, I think. Look, we sort of talked about it, maybe a little bit more vaguely, but I think there's probably two or three different core things that we're focused on. One is, I do want to build the safest, easiest to use identity on the planet, and given all the issues in the competitive landscape and what's going on in the market, I think that's a very, very big opportunity and an important one for us to focus in on. So we're going to put a lot of time and attention into that. And I do believe JumpCloud Go is sort of the centerpiece and the core foundation for that. So you'll continue to see a lot of innovation from us this coming year in that area, and we're pretty excited about that. I also think that what we talked about earlier, devices are incredibly important, and they are the gateway. They are the mechanism that we all use to go do the work that we need to do, and making sure that that device is as safe, secure, performant, configured properly. That's all super critical. And so we're going to spend a lot more time making sure that we give people more control and we integrate that more deeply into the identity process than it is today. So I think those are sort of three major things. I think we're also going to continue to work on how do we make this as easy and as automated as possible for organizations and for IT organizations. We want to make sure that the complexity that people have to endure these days of how do you provision, how do you deprovision, how do you make sure things are secure, how do you find anomalies, all of these issues we just need to continue to make as easy as possible. So that sort of automation of, let's say, lifecycle access control and security is super critical, and we're going to spend a lot of time there. So I think those three areas are pretty good in terms of thinking about where are we going to spend our time this coming year, and what are some of the innovations that we think we're going to drive. They're going to center in those three categories, I think.
So, knowing the opportunities you see and the priorities, what are you most excited about going into 2024?
Well, I think big picture, that what I'm most excited about is that I think our platform continues to be sort of the centerpiece for organizations, and we have a huge opportunity and a huge responsibility to make sure that we're supporting our community and making sure that they can go do what they need to do, which is make sure that their organizations run really, really smoothly. So safely, securely, giving people access, doing that as easily as possible. So I think when you break that down, the things that get me excited are we're going to spend a lot more time on JumpCloud Go. So that's going to be huge, right? We're going to make sure that we can build the safest, easy to use identity that we can possibly build. So that's going to be important. We're going to make sure that device is really secure, performant, able to be completely controlled to make sure that people can get access to what they need to get access to, but they can do it in a safe manner. So the integration of device and identity is going to accelerate from our perspective. And then I would say we're super excited about driving more into conditional access policies, more into automation. Dynamic groups is a great area that I think I'm hoping that everybody else is using and using quite a bit. You'll see a lot of innovation there, so that we can continue to offload work from our community onto the machines, if you will. So I think there's a lot of stuff to be excited about. I don't know the exact number, but I think we put out 200 releases or something like that this year. My guess is that we'll put out the same 200, 300 releases next year of different features and innovations and things like that. So, um, you know, we've got a lot of work to do, and I think we can drive a lot of value for the community, and that's super important. That's probably the foundational thing that I'm excited about, is that I think we can continue to innovate and help people.
No pressure for you PMs that are listening.
Or the engineering teams that do it, and the QA teams, and the tech
Yeah.
writing teams that help do that, and our
Mhm.
education team who tries to communicate all that stuff, and
Oh, yeah.
and then obviously making sure that all of our customers and community knows about all the stuff that we're building too, right? That's also
Yeah.
always a challenge, because everybody's busy, and making sure that they're aware of all these amazing all these amazing innovations is not the easiest thing in the world either.
Oh, yeah, and our designers and
Yeah, designers,
so
and yeah,
many people.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it
mean,
takes
but
a village, right?
it is
Yeah.
Go ahead, Urvash.
365 days, but only 200 releases. So I think it's a doable target.
There you go. Well, what has always been great
we could ask
is
we can ask the team if they can try and do a release a day, 365.
Am I gonna have to like hide in a bunker when you make that announcement?
I think what has been great about uh, all of our product teams is that they have been
Wait, is it me that's frozen or is it Becky?
I think it may be Becky. So I thought I was frozen for a second, but yep, we
Yeah, me
lost
too.
Becky. Yeah, yep. Uh-oh.
Oh
Yep,
no.
Becky froze. Eric saying that. Yeah.
Okay, let me
So,
let me check in Slack.
yep, no worries.
My Chrome restarted. Is
Oh
what she
no.
has sent me in all caps. And this is why, folks, when Chrome gives you the alert that you should restart, just do it then.
Yeah,
So it
exactly.
doesn't happen in the middle of the.
Don't defer your patches. Don't defer them too long.
Yeah, she'll be back in a second, hopefully. I thought my internet had died and it scared me. I thought my internet had died. I love that
Yeah.
everybody assumed it was their internet before anybody even realized it was Becky's browser.
Chrome just gave up.
Well, we used you as an example for why you should click the restart button when it starts to go orange.
No, it gave me a crash report and everything. It said, "Do you want to submit a crash
Oh,
Oh,
report?"
it crashed.
So,
Yeah, it crashed.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's my lesson in having too many tabs open. So,
Yes.
don't be me.
Yeah.
I'm
you have a
Yep.
New
notorious for
Year's
that.
resolution now, Becky. Only
Yeah.
5 tabs at a time.
Well, we can
Yeah.
just ask
I
Google to just get better at handling it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I even have more memory on my computer now, and so my comment was like saying Chrome. So,
Yes. Yep.
oh my
Yep.
goodness. I was saying that our PMs and product teams have been really wonderful about coming on the IT hour and talking about new releases, new features, and things like that, and answering a ton of questions for our viewers on the IT hour. So that has been a really great partnership.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think the opportunity here, I think, like we started this conversation, we're living in interesting times, and I think we've been incredibly fortunate at JumpCloud that we're focused on an area that is so vibrant, active, important, complex, interesting, like all of those things combined. And it takes a tremendous amount of work and effort to try and figure out what are the right things to do, what are the most impactful things to do, how can we make sure that when we deliver those things, they're done well. And we don't always get that, but we try pretty hard. So in general, I'd say across the company, I think we've got a company that deeply cares about helping our customers, helping the community, and then trying to do the best that we can. And sometimes we get there, sometimes we don't, but you continue trying to improve every day. Oh, I think you're on mute. Did we catch you on mute?
Yep. it muted me when I came in. So the last thing is about next year. Do you have any sneak peeks into what's coming in
Well,
Q1?
I've kind of given you a lot of the sneak peeks, but I'm
Mhm.
going to wait till the PMs. We do a quarterly roadmap webinar, which I think is wonderful, and I'm super proud of the product team for getting on that cadence every quarter and sharing what we're working on and what we're working on it and getting feedback. And I know those are incredibly vibrant conversations, so I know that the number of questions that come up in those conversations is pretty astronomical, and it sparks a whole bunch of discussion, and it sparks, frankly, a whole bunch of conversation internally too, because we take all that feedback and then we go back and say, okay, are we making all the right choices? Do we need to adjust anything? All of those are really important. But I think we're a few weeks away, whatever, a month away from um, having that webinar. So, I'm going to let the team not steal their thunder, but I think hopefully we've given everybody kind of the areas of focus or areas of emphasis, if you will, that we're really
Mhm.
interested in spending a lot of time on. And I think that's going to make a big difference for our community and for customers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always have a follow-up to that on the IT hour where we can
Yep.
answer in-depth questions and stuff. So that usually works pretty well. So, I have seen some activity in the chat, mostly giving me a hard time about being a tab abuser or collector. But do we have any questions for Raj? Does anyone want to? You can either ask it in the chat, or we can pull you up on stage if we dare, and let you ask your questions. So,
Hell,
or did we
whatever's on
already
people's minds.
or did we already preemptively answer a lot of those? Because we had some very thorough answers there from you. So thank you for that.
Hopefully they're helpful.
I
I don't
mean,
know if there
I'm
are any
looking forward
questions.
to what's happening with JumpCloud Go because I mean it's literally perfect. So what are we doing? What more needs to be done? It is
Well,
flawless.
there's a lot more to be done, and I think truthfully, I've said this so many times when I've talked to customers and partners, is that it's very tough to say something's life changing, right? Life changing is a very, very high bar. And I won't say that, some IT feature or something like that is life changing, because generally that's pretty far stretched. But I would tell you that it's pretty darn close. It's pretty amazing. And when you open up your computer in the morning and you can just put your finger down, or just use your face to jump in, and you can get all the way into all the applications that you're trying to work with without sort of fumbling around with passwords or MFA tokens and things like that. That is pretty cool. And look, there's a lot more that we want to do around that. So I would tell you the couple of categories of um, things that we're interested in are: one, we want to expand coverage. So we want you to be able to have that experience really from any device possible. So you're going to see that as something that we really deeply care about. The second thing is, we are going to continue to innovate to make the signals that we receive from the system, from your identity, from other places, to really help make sure that the level of security continues to go up. We think we absolutely have an amazing opportunity to make JumpCloud Go the safest, um, pretty darn close to the safest, or if not the safest identity that we could have on the planet. So how can we go do that? That's a very high bar, and the more signals that we can ingest and take care of and use to make sure that we're making sure that that person really is who they say they are. They rightfully have access to these things, and they're then able to access that as frictionlessly as possible. That's pretty amazing. And if we can do that from really any device, anywhere in the world that they want to work, and we can make sure all of that is super safe, that's where we want to head with this. And you'll see that proliferation of different types of devices that we can support, different types of applications and IT resources that we can support. And we can do that, really, really well. That's where we'd like to get to. So we're already, I think we're the market leader on this particular type of technology, but we need to continue to innovate to be the best in the world, continue to stay the best in the world at it.
Well,
Can
I
I
know.
get a JumpCloud Go version for home use? Because I would really like to give my mom one
Yeah,
fingerprint
yeah.
login for all of her email addresses because she just makes a new one every time she forgets a password. So
Yep.
putting
Yeah,
in that feature
absolutely.
request.
Yeah, yeah. And Jeff has it here too. He just wants things that he uses to know that they are, and that's really the vision of Jump Cloud Go, right? Is to and what's interesting is I actually do want it to authenticate 100 times. I want it to authenticate every 15 or 20 seconds. I just don't want you to be involved in that re-authentication. So it's really important to us that we are constantly checking, could there be something wrong? Could there be something changing? Has everything stayed the same, or are we really confident that this is a safe use? And if you think about some of the session hijacking things that were going on, and other ways that people have compromised, that's a really important topic. So you could think about it as almost re-authentication or continuous auth, or whatever we want to call it. But that's a pretty important piece of it that we'd like to continue to innovate on. So today, JumpCloud Go re-authenticates, I think, up to every 30 seconds, or I think it's like 26 seconds. I'm not sure why we picked 26 seconds or something like that, but it's pretty rapid. And if we can do that with many more signals, if we can try and find as many different signals that could detect if there's an issue, that's where we'd like to go.
Yeah, like I recently switched computers and I had to use Protect a couple of times to initially show it was me setting up on a new computer. But once I did that, it has been go all the way and it has been super easy just letting it pop up and do its thing. Um like I had to do the fingerprint a couple of times, but once I did that, it's just re-authenticating and re-authenticating every time I log back into um, an application, and it has just been so much easier. Um, so much so that I have to remind myself what my login password is when my computer goes to
Yep.
sleep. It's like I do
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to still remember that. So um,
Yeah, and that's an important. I think there's this misnomer that we don't ever want to have maybe a password or something that right? And I don't think we want that. I think we do want, on occasion, for you to basically answer a question that you only uniquely know, right? And we have different ways to handle that, but I think that's an important security factor, right? And so I think, look, there's still a tremendous way to go here. It's I think one of the most important pieces of innovation that we could go work on, and I'm really hopeful that everybody here has tried it. If you haven't tried it, please try it. Please give us feedback. We want to make this. We absolutely want to make this a centerpiece for how your users get access to the things that they need, and do it as easy as possible.
yeah, and Jeff had said as a follow up, it or IT authenticates, not me. Perfect. Good point. And
Yep.
earlier, Ricky said solid year for JumpCloud, just along for the ride on my side, and always shoot feature requests where possible, etc. Yes, y'all add in those feature requests because they are critically important in letting us know what you want and what you want to see because that helps us in prioritizing things, knowing what y'all want, what your specific use cases are, and things like that. That really helps our product and engineering teams. And he also said good focus from the company and team and where things look to be going. So thank you, Ricky.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, a
And
lot of stuff for us to go do for sure.
yeah, and then he also said in a follow up to what Jeff had said, this is why I love conditional access and getting agents on our BYOD users too, and can block access if not on a trusted device. The challenge there is either taking over local user accounts in a soft manner or binding a totally new user for work purposes to the non company device. company-owned managed devices are super easy, though. Yeah, it's that in between BYOD group that can be tricky because you don't own the whole thing, but for people that, like, log into their work email or Slack on their phone, you wanna have some ability to control it a little bit if someone loses their device or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is it's a big issue, the sort of BYOD versus corporate owned, and how do you handle that? That's obviously a huge challenge for us, and something that we've been working on, and we're going to continue to work on.
Yeah. So, one question of your favorite moment from 2023 when looking back over the last 12 months?
Oh gosh, there's not one favorite moment. I've got um, so many great moments. I think the ones that really sort of stick out for me is I've traveled a lot this year, and I've traveled really all across the globe. So that's been great. And I think when you go meet with our partners, our customers, our team, all around the globe, those are the sort of really special moments. I've had a lot of dinners with, basically prospects and customers in our community. Had some great team dinners. Had a lot of meetings all over the world, talking about really fun stuff and really challenging stuff. And I think when we feel like we can make a huge difference, or when I feel like the Jump Cloud team can make a big difference, um, for people, that's pretty satisfying. It's pretty gratifying. And even when people are pushing us to, hey, we need this, or we need this fixed, or we need these changes made to the product because it's going to help us. And sometimes those are challenging conversations. Those are still great conversations. It's stuff where we can learn, we can improve, we can get better. We can bring that feedback back to our team, and we can learn, and we can continue to grow. So I think I'd say there's no one special moment. I think the special moments have been, all throughout the year, just, being with our team, being with customers, being with partners, and, kind of working all together.
Yeah, absolutely. So what Urvashi had said earlier about her mom, Jeff is saying, "Feature request, JumpCloud Home for our mothers," etc. Set it up
Yes.
and just have JumpCloud manage their usernames, passwords, emails. That would be awesome. No more IT
Yep.
calls for when they change their password. Um, that might be a good idea because I know someone, I can't name names because they may or may not watch the IT hour. So I don't want to out them to the fact that they may write down their passwords on a post-it note. They don't tape it to their computer, Urvashi, but they may put it in a drawer, and I know where to find them if I need to look up their password to log in for them for something. Um, so yeah, hashtag security, not quite secure. So maybe I should
More
do the
like
same
hashtag
thing.
security
Yeah, exactly.
all of the while.
So I'm thinking maybe I should do the same thing, do a home labs version and add their computer from far away, and then
There
I
you go.
can
Yeah, and then you can
control.
manage it, right? Yeah, absolutely. We've got all of the remote assist capabilities, right? So you can go in
Hmm.
and completely look at what they're doing and fix it and get them going, all that stuff.
I don't know if I want to tell them I can do that because then I will get calls.
Yeah, then that's
So,
right. You're going to get more calls.
yeah, that wouldn't help with the no more IT calls that Jeff says. That would actually make them more frequent. So
Yes.
maybe that's not a good idea.
Yep.
She's asking everyone what their favorite IT Hour episode was. So we'll see if anyone answers that in the comments. I'm not seeing any. There's lively chat and some really great things going on, but I'm not seeing any more actual questions.
Hopefully, we
Um,
gave people a lot to chew on today.
yeah, some really great stuff. So thank you for being so candid and giving us lots of great stuff to talk about and think about.
No problem. Yeah.
And this is officially our last one of the year, so going out with a bang, and then we'll be back, um, I think on the 5th. Oh, here we go. Jeff is saying, "Raj, if you had one fictional feature to add to JumpCloud portfolio, what would it be?" Hmm,
um, you
teleporting.
know, I think Jeff is being very clever. He wants me to give away some of the roadmap. No, I kid, Jeff. I think one of the ones that I'm super excited about, and we talked a little bit about it earlier, is some of the automation. So we spend a lot of time on JumpCloud Go. Obviously, everybody knows that that's super important and valuable. But I think one of the things that I'm super interested in, and what I'm seeing when I talk to a lot of customers and partners and the community out there, is that they really want to see the full user lifecycle automation. So, far deeper than, you know, I think most software companies or vendors have considered. So I think there's a real opportunity there for us to automate a tremendous amount of the journey for our customers. So from the time they onboard as a new employee to making sure that they have the right access all the time to getting them offboarded, and having that whole process as automated as possible. I think there's a lot of work to do there, and having all the reporting, having all of the compliance, all of that built in. That to me is a really exciting area that we would love to spend a lot of time on because of the amount of impact I think it could make for our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Urvashi wants all the graphs, pretty graphs,
Yep.
pretty reports.
Not just any graphs, but like with the nice colors, and my cat is on my keyboard. So
Yep.
yes.
I would love to know from Jeff I would love to know from the community. What's the one fictional feature that they would like to see us have? Yeah, reports for sure, and pretty graphs, and all of the stuff. But what else? What else could we do?
Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that people said they wanted to see in features from the survey? Because there were some new things that we said. What would you want to see if we did these?
Yeah. Well, a couple of new ones that we definitely focused on were some of the AI related things, and I'm definitely very interested to know what folks are thinking along the AI dimension. So that's something that we've been doing a lot of research on. And if you have not connected with some of our team and are interested in that area, please do let us know. There is a tremendous amount of work going on into how we think we can leverage AI in a way that would be beneficial to the community and customers. So I'd say that's a pretty big area. What's interesting is, and it's fascinating, we are incredibly excited about JumpCloud Go and passwordless. But what's interesting is I don't think it tested very well in that survey. So not as many people marked that it was as interesting as they wanted. But to me, that's a little bit of, we need to show people how easy and simple it is to use, and the value of it. And if we can go do that, then I think that'll score a lot better. But this is where I try and tell our team, data is really great, and it's important to get, but it's not the whole story. It doesn't tell you the whole picture, and sometimes you can have data that's not quite really reality or the truth, or may not be reality or the truth. You have to go investigate further, and I'd say to me that's one of those ones in this survey that we did that I would flag as that one requires a lot more understanding or work, because I think the value of that capability is super high. And I think it means that we haven't done a good job of sharing what that capability is and why it's so important to everybody.
Well, maybe not as widely as we could, because I know every time
Yeah.
Scott and Tom have been on here talking about it, they've had a lot of people have had a lot of really great questions and good reception to what they've said and what they've posted in the community. So I think just figuring out how to get that more broadly promoted
Yep.
is the way, because I think that that was such a wide survey, and maybe not all of those people have heard some of that
Yep.
yet is
That's
the
right.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of where, you could say, oh, this isn't that interesting. Maybe we shouldn't spend that much time on it. But in reality, I think you're right. The more important thing is that we probably haven't done a really good job of communicating it to everybody. And so that's where, data can, sometimes tell you things that may not quite be the reality of what they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to the AI piece, 2 weeks ago, we had Lindsay and Hugh
Yep.
on, and we did actually talk about AI, some of the things we're doing, and we had, um,
Yeah.
several people raise their hands and say that they wanna be involved with whatever, kinda early access things that we're doing along those lines. So
Yep.
we've got some people interested in
Yep.
that, so
Yep.
that'll be
I'm
cool.
hoping we'll have some stuff in the new year for people to look at, play with, and give us feedback on.
Yeah, we definitely had some people here raise their hands. And by the way, y'all, the offer is still open. We've got that AI channel in the lounge that you are still welcome to go join and raise your hand and say, yeah, I want to be involved in whatever is going to be happening. And we'll get you added to that list. So um, definitely take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
All right. So we are just about out of time, just a couple minutes left. So I think we have answered everything, but again, raise your hand real quick if you have one more question. But, Raj, thank you again for kinda
Yeah. Thanks
bookending
for
the
having
year
me.
for us. That's a lot
Yeah.
of
Thanks for
fun.
having me. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and we will look forward to seeing y'all in the new year on January 5th. Um, I'm going on vacation. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but, next week, my kids are on vacation, so I'm gonna be too, and peace out, man. I'm taking some
I
time
will
off
be
finally.
attending. I will be attending 5,000 different weddings. So
It's wedding season in India, right?
wish me luck. Yes, I've actually dodged a wedding today. So thank you, IT hour. I was like, oh, I can't make it. I have a work thing. Bye.
Avoid all
Stuart,
the
which
aunties, right?
Stuart, which browser are you interested on patch? And we'll get that back to the team.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the weddings do last for days, Lori.
Multiple outfits, multiple, from what
Yeah,
Urvashi was telling me before.
yeah, yeah. Her production for sure. Edge
Edge
and
and
Firefox.
Firefox.
Okay. Yeah, great. Thanks for that feedback. We'll pass it along to the team.
All right. Thanks, Stuart. All right, and, please.
We'll let you know.
Yeah, all right. By the way,
Okay.
Stuart, if you haven't put in a feature request for that yet, it would be a good idea if you could do that. We will go ahead and pass it along, but that just helps capture it. Um,
Yep.
so thank you all very much. We look forward to seeing you again in 2024. So thanks for
Happy New
joining
Year,
us.
everybody.
Happy New Happy
Thanks.
holidays, Happy New Year, and we will see you again in a few weeks. Bye all.
Yep. Bye.